Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. This is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and today we're going to be talking about some of our favorite bets for the Super Bowl. That's right, some best bets going on. We're going to break the game down even further. Last week, we did our preview where we did our first take with Matthew Friedman and Joe Ranieri. If you missed that, go back and listen and or watch on our YouTube channel for Betting Pros. Subscribe when you do, because it's good for your health. And also, today, we're going to look at the game from a new perspective because we have two new people here to talk about that. Pat Fitzmaurice, of course, back from Vegas, where he was supposed to go put some money down for me. We'll talk about that later in the show and see how that worked out. And stepping in at last minute because Matthew Friedman was out of power, which is, very not him himself. We plug him back in every single day at the end of the day, but his actual area was out of power, some electrical storms. So Derek Brown, DBro, the King of Bros, is going to join us, and we're going to break down the game, break down the boys' favorite bets, not the props. That's coming tomorrow. And, of course, don't forget, at 1 p.m. Eastern, we've got our live stream. Me, Matt Peralt, Matt Friedman, everybody's named Matt except me, 1 p.m. Eastern, live stream, taking your questions, talking about the big game, Super Bowl 57, of course, and we are brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. So if you haven't made wagers yet or you're thinking about it, go now. Download the BetMGM app and get going. Gentlemen, we've had just about our fill now. We've had Super Bowl for 2 weeks. I always get like this when we do the Super Bowl shows. It's like, yes, it's one game. We're going to sit here, overthink everything, all that stuff. But I like that the fact that we're getting two new perspectives here on this. Now, Pat, here you go. This is the situation. The floor is going to be yours. The Kansas City Chiefs, 1.5 point underdog still to the Philadelphia Eagles. That is still the case. It's the case it was last week. It's the case it is right now. This is coming straight from bettingpros.com. 50.5 is the number for the over-under. 51 you can get over on DK because they like to be a little different. But right now, 50.5 is the consensus pretty much everywhere. And Kansas City are getting plus 105 on the money line. So, Pat, walk me through your vision of this game, write your narrative, and win us some money.
Well, Joe, I'm kind of frustrated that I think these lines are spot on. Like, I think the line and the total are just spot on, and I really have a hard time, generating much enthusiasm for either side of the spread, either side of the total. When it first came out, I liked the Chiefs in the underdog role. I think Patrick Mahomes is 7-2 against the spread lifetime as an underdog. Jalen Hurts is away from Philadelphia, I think 6-12 against the spread for his career. So I put something down on the Chiefs on the money line and got plus 105. That was my first thing. But the more I look at the Eagles, I wonder if that was the right play. They're just so well built. They have a great offensive line. They have a terrific dual threat quarterback. They have three very good pass catchers with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert. They have a good trio of running backs. And then on defense, the number one pass defense, DVOA, the most sacks by any team in the regular season since 1984. Monsters of the Midway, Chicago Bears. Great pair of outside cornerbacks in Darius Slay and James Bradbury. They are just so well constructed. So I kind of, the more I thought about it, I wanted to get out of that position of having bet the Chiefs with a little plus money on the money line. So I don't think if the Chiefs win, it's not going to be a blowout. They're not going to blow out this Eagles team. I think they're just too good. But I could potentially see if things go wrong for the Chiefs, if those receivers just can't get any separation against these corners, if they just can't keep the Philadelphia pass rush at bay. So I took an alternative spread and I bet the Eagles minus 13.5 at plus 442. So, if it's a tight game, if the Eagles win by 7, I'm going to lose everything. But, if the Chiefs win,
the kids, the car,
exactly.
Everything.
If the Chiefs win or if it's a Philly blowout, I am, potentially going to win here. And on the total, I don't even know if I'm going to touch the total. I think it's just so spot on, and I could make a plausible argument for either side of it, over or under. I could see this playing out either way. I mean, Honestly, I mean, I think this could very easily be a 27-24 game where it's just right there on the number.
Very similar to our conversations on the Fantasy Pros side yesterday in terms of score. That was some of the scores that we were throwing out just yesterday on that recording. It's funny because the perspective of Joe Ranieri and Matthew Friedman last week was Chiefs roll, Chiefs go. And it's great to hear somebody else kind of bring that other side to it. To be honest with you, Pat, I kind of feel the same way you do about every line here on the game itself. I've got investments in the game, but not on the game itself yet, which to me screams if you don't see value there, you wait. And you wait for in-game live betting, and you wait and see if somebody's down by a touchdown or something like that, or 10 points at half. And then you look for where that spread is there, and then you go ahead, you make a wager there, because I think that's the only way to really make money on the game itself in this one. To be honest, it's not like you're getting that big underdog. It's not like you're getting, a situation where these teams are very close. You make a good point too about these corners who are excellent, but Travis Kelce is the guy, right? I mean, if you're going to get mismatches on the linebackers, Kelce's going to be that dude, trying to beat them with your wide receivers. Anyway, it's not really the game of the Kansas City Chiefs. They don't have Tyreek Hill anymore, but it's that question, DBro, of whether or not the Eagles are for real or not, and battle tested enough in the NFC. It's one thing to look good in the NFC. It's another thing to look good in the AFC. The Chiefs have looked good in the AFC, beating premium quarterbacks on a pretty regular basis. And I know we talked about this yesterday on the Fantasy Pros pod, but you were Mr. Eagle in the summer. You were talking about this Eagles offense, how good it was going to be. You were talking about this Eagles team. And sure enough, here we are. It is the 9th of February, and we're still talking about the Eagles. So let's get another perspective here on this game. Once again, you're looking at the Eagles being 1.5-point favorites, 50.5, unless you're at DK at 51, plus 105 is the money line. D, what do you think about this line here on this game? And do you see any value at this point that you want to invest in?
Not really. I mean, to be honest, all these lines are spot on. I'm with Pat in that instance. You can tickle my fancy a little bit on the 50.5.
Well, HR told me I can't do that. They said, don't tickle anyone's fancy anymore.
I won't tell anybody, Joe. I promise. This is kind of like Vegas and Mobile. What happens here stays here. Okay. So just saying. But
Vegas and Mobile?
Mobile is very much like Vegas. Whatever happens at Veets stays at Veets. Just going to say.
I did. Wow. I got to go travel there. Anyway.
But looking at this game overall, man, all these lines are extremely good. I think if looking at the total at the 50.5, I am willing to take the over there if I'm pressed on any of these lines. Like the money line, even for the Chiefs at plus 105 is not enough for me to really go that direction in a game that, yes, like the Eagles are 1.5 favorites. I would not have been surprised ever since this opened if this moved more to a pick'em, and I still won't be surprised if we get late line movement. Now, at this point in the week, is that probably
we've been waiting for that, and it still hasn't happened yet, which is fascinating. And it's because the Super Bowl is such a public game, and so many people come out of the woodwork to bet on it too. So it changes the perspective a little bit of it. But I keep going back to the same thing where I just mentioned, which is if the Eagles are down by 10 at half, and you get 3-1 on them.
Yep.
I think that's an investment to make. I would say the same thing if the Chiefs were down by 10 at half. I'd be looking to put, 2.5 to 1 or 3 to 1 money there. To me, that's how you make money on the game itself, is you kind of wait for it to unfold, because, it's really hard to see the wiggle room here in the way it's been set up.
It is. It's tough. And and honestly, the reasons you're saying to live bet it, because you see both of these teams have extremely talented offenses. Both of them have the ability to come back from these types of deficits. So if you're getting plus money live betting it, that's kind of the reasons why, I kind of like going over on the total, because if you look at this game as a whole, a lot of games in the playoffs or just in the NFL in general can be dragged down by one side or the other, how fast these teams are running. You and I have talked about it the entire season about when you played Tennessee. They love to drag down the pace. They love to make it a disgusting game. Both of these teams run at an extremely high pace. And that's why we were talking about with Jim previously on the Fantasy Pros podcast that I like a lot of the overs in some of this game, because the fact is, I look at the play volume and I think it's going to be fantastic, because the Chiefs, we know they're going to run fast. They're going to run a lot of plays. The Eagles have not been pushed in an entire game for most of the season to do that. They run a lot of no huddle. They run at a fast pace. And if the Chiefs pushed in the entire game, you're going to get fantastic play volume amounts in this game. So lots of plays, lots of scoring attempts. And that's why if I'm going to be pressed to take anything here, I'll take the over on the 50.5. But past that, I'm probably just staying away from the rest of it.
I think you'll know if the over is going to come in early in this game. I think you're going to see it. You know, if these teams come out flat, and that happens so many times. The first quarter of the Super Bowl typically is very flat. Teams haven't played in a while. They're playing an opponent they're not used to. Everyone's kind of feeling each other out. The adrenaline's pumping. If you get a score in that first drive, even a field goal, that bodes well if you put the money on the over, I think. But if you're going to get a scoreless first quarter, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a real tough game of catch up. You might want to, once again, wait for a little time to unfold in this game, then attack it in the game itself. To me, that is the approach with this Super Bowl with these two teams and how it looks. And we've seen, again, very little movement here, actually almost no movement. And if you're looking for any of the movement, make sure that you have that Betting Pros app too, so you can stay on this if it does move to even, or if it does move in the next 24 to 48 hours. And of course, we'll have you covered too. Don't forget, live stream on Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be fantastic, live talking to you all about some of the best bets we can make here on this one. All right, so let's chat about this here. We're going to talk about the boys' favorite bets here, and these are non-player prop bets, which means that if you want the player props, well, Pat Fitzmaurice is going to have you covered, I believe, tomorrow. Yes, Pat? That's going to be your lot in life. I just did a whole video of my 10 favorite bets, and it's a big mix of things. So this is just bets surrounding the game. So, Pat, let's talk about the first one on your list, and we'll go to DBro. We'll go a little back and forth action for you. So, non-player prop, give me one of your favorite bets this weekend for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, when I was pouring through these, and man, it takes a while to get through them all because you can bet on virtually anything about this game.
Virtually anything?
Pretty much
literally
anything.
Everything.
Yeah. So one that kind of stood out to me, and I had to plunge into this and research it a bit to see if it stood out after I had parsed it a bit more. Jersey number of first touchdown scorer over 11.5, and you get plus money on this. It's actually juiced towards under 11.5. It's plus 105 if you take over 11.5. So for the Chiefs, the ways that I could lose this wager are with Jerick McKinnon, number 1, Isaiah Pacheco, number 10, Juju Smith-Schuster, number 9, MVS, number 11. And the Eagles who could thwart this bet are A.J. Brown, number 11, Devonta Smith, number 6, Jalen Hurts, number 1. That's the big one. And then, maybe Zach Pascal, number 3. That'd be kind of an upset. But, you get some big guns with the Chiefs, with Kelsey, and then maybe some supporting guys, Kadarius Toney, Noah Gray, Jody Fortson. The Eagles, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, all their running backs, plus Dallas Goedert. Now, in 2 playoff games, 5 of the Eagles' 9 touchdowns have been scored by the running backs, and one of the other 4 was scored by Dallas Goedert. So 6 of their 9 touchdowns in the playoffs by guys wearing jersey numbers higher than 11.5. And, for the Chiefs, I'm big on that Travis Kelce. I know we don't want to talk about player props, and, I'm going to put something on Travis Kelce first touchdown at plus 700. I feel that's, pretty good price for him. So yeah, I like getting plus money on this one. Sure. I think it's, it should be more like an even money bet, but I think this one looks pretty good. I kind of have a feeling it's going to be one of those Eagles running backs punching it in first.
I like it. It's outside the box. It's different. I have not heard anyone talk about this wager, and I feel like I've heard everyone talk about every single wager. So this is fantastic. All right, DBro, let's go to you for one of your favorite bets on the board for Super Bowl 57. What do you got?
All right. Well, we're essentially going to call this the Kadarius Toney bet. Okay. Any player to have a pass completion, a reception, and a rushing attempt is plus 900 on DK right now. And I mean, look at Kadarius Toney. 3 passing attempts for the Giants last year. You cannot sit here and tell me that Andy Reid does not have some type of trickery up his sleeve. If we see them playing Ring Around the Rosie before they line up and sit here and call a play, I'm not ruling anything out with Andy Reid. So Toney had the passing attempts last year. We know the trick plays are in Andy Reid's bag, and when he's in his bag, man, all bets are off. And he's also had 6 rushing attempts since he's been with the Chiefs. So you're getting plus 900 on this. I know it sounds kind of wild, but I mean, it's Kadarius Toney. They're using him in all different facets. I would like this a little bit more if it was like plus 1,000, a little bit higher, but it's still at plus 900. I'm still interested.
Well, it's interesting too because we have the news on Kadarius Toney that he is running all over the place at practice, whatever that means. So, and this is the
all I need for him to do is throw all
vacuum
over
of
the
the
place.
Super Bowl creates such an annoying thing where everybody farts and it's a story, and we've got to talk, But I will say this: a healthy Kadarius Toney is definitely a gadget, and without having Mecole Hardman around, I don't think this is that crazy. I mean, you could throw a small unit on this just for fun, and at plus 900, still be very happy about it. I think that's kind of a fun thing. That's over on DK. All right, Pat, let's go back to you for another one of your favorite bets here for Super Bowl 57 on Sunday. What do you have?
All right, this one is sort of correlated with my jersey number bet. It's first touchdown type, rushing or passing. And I took rushing for plus 160. So, getting a good payout here if the first touchdown is a touchdown run. In the regular season, the Eagles had 25 touchdown passes and 32 touchdown runs. And in the playoffs so far, 2 touchdown passes, 7 touchdown runs. So not only all of those running backs who've been piling up touchdowns in the playoffs, but of course, Jalen Hurts himself. And, with the Chiefs, not quite as well balanced there. They've had 41 touchdown passes in the regular season, 18 touchdown runs, and no touchdown runs for them in the playoffs. But, I mean, we know the Eagles have a fantastic pass defense. Talked about that at the top of the show. Number 1 in DVOA, number 1 in sacks. Their run defense not as good. I mean, they're 21st in DVOA against the run, although granted, they have been a lot better since November when they signed Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph. And they also got Jordan Davis, that big defensive tackle rookie from Georgia, back from an injury that had kept him out about a month. So I think from week 13 on, they've been number 8 maybe in DVOA against the run. Like, they've been better, but I think that's still the way you want to attack them. And maybe that boosts the Chiefs running percentage a little bit more than it otherwise would be, just because this Eagles pass defense is so tough. So I think if the Eagles score first, very good chance it's a running touchdown. And I think there's even a little bit of a chance that on the Chiefs' first score that would be a running touchdown. So I think getting plus 160 on this bet is a pretty good proposition.
Well, if you get Miles Sanders scoring a touchdown first, Pat Fitzmaurice somewhere around 6:42 Eastern time is going to be very excited because he's going to cash not once but twice on that narrative. I like that. Build your narrative, folks. That's what we're trying to do here. All right, DBro, back to you. Give me another one of your favorite bets for Sunday.
I'm going to stay on the Chiefs side. I'm going to go with Isaiah Pacheco to be the fastest ball carrier. You can get this at plus 450 on DK.
I love
In the playoffs, Isaiah Pacheco is tied with Jalen Waddle for the second fastest ball carrier speed in the playoffs at 20.97 miles per hour. Nobody else has come close to that on either side of the aisle for these teams. And with Pacheco, that came on a 39-yard rush in the divisional round. You look at the Eagles, and Pat's talked about this a few different times. The way that you can beat them, it's a little bit easier, is on the ground. This team is top 5 in explosive pass rate allowed, but if we look over to the rushing side, they're 21st in explosive run rate allowed. So all we need is for Pacheco, the Tasmanian devil himself, to get like a 20-yard run, get those legs churning, and be the fastest guy on the field and walk away with this. And we're just all just loving life.
Yeah, I've got a lot of Pacheco wagers already. I've already
add this to the
dabbled in the Pacheco
the book there, bud.
I didn't even see this one. This is fantastic. So fastest ball carrier speed. It's amazing what they've got out there. I mean, I want that job. I want the job of the guy that sits there, or gal, who sits there and figures out, well, what else can we bet on in this game? I mean, it is stunning how this has evolved over the years and what we have in front of us. All right, no more deep stats here. Let's get to something else. What do you have here for us, Pat Fitzmaurice, favorite bets for Sunday. What do you have next?
Now, Joe, you said player prop bets on Chiefs and Eagles were forbidden, but you didn't mention other player prop bets. And of course, they've got all these lovely cross sport bets that you can make where you tie in some sort of Super Bowl bet with the Waste Management Phoenix Open or one of the NBA or college basketball games going on Sunday afternoon. And I kind of like one of those bets. It is the point total in the first half of the Super Bowl being higher than the point total for the Toronto Raptors' Pascal Siakam against the Detroit Pistons on Sunday afternoon. So bear with me a second.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm captivated by this wager.
Yeah, as you noted, the total on this game is 50.5 or 51 at DraftKings. So we're looking at about, if you split that in half, 25.5 for a 1/2 over under. And Pascal Siakam is averaging 24.7 points per game, but that is buoyed by some really big games he's had. He's had 24 or fewer points in 11 of his last 14 games. Now, granted, this matchup seems like a good one for Siakam. The Pistons are 14-42. They are, among the dregs of the NBA, and they are giving up 119.7 points per game, which is second most in the NBA, but that could also work in our favor with this bet. Maybe they are beating the holy hell out of the Pistons on Sunday and decide to sit Siakam in the fourth quarter, when he's around the 20-point mark or something, and we, coast through on this bet with Siakam cooling his heels on the bench late in that game. So first half Super Bowl point total higher than Pascal Siakam's point total against the Pistons on Sunday. Oh, and by the way, that's plus money, plus 120. So, another attraction here.
Perfect transition. In 2 weeks after the NBA All-Star game, we're going to have a fun little NBA special here on Betting Pros, taking you through the rest of season outlook. And Pat is already getting ahead there. He's already bringing these worlds together. Well done, Pat Fitzmaurice, as always. This is definitely outside the box. Love this. All right, DBro, close us out here with one more that you have for Sunday. Your favorite bets that you want to go ahead and make.
So I'm going to go with the last play of the game to be a quarterback kneel down, and I'm actually going to take it not happening for plus money. It's at plus 155. So if you look at, and I think the Chiefs are what's critical to this. One, we have a tight spread. So if this game ends up being one of these teams are driving at the last part of the game, going for a field goal, what have you, okay, then we hit. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs games, 53% of their games this season have ended without a kneel down. So teams getting, whether it's been a sack, whether it's been a run, whether it's been a play or pass, what have you. And I just think this game sets up really well for one of these teams to have the ball at the end of the game and be going for the win, and this not to be a kneel down situation. So I think the Kansas City Chiefs are probably the team that really need to hold up that part of the end, because with this spread, we're not projecting either one of these teams to blow the other out. So as long as that's not happening, I really feel good about this, especially getting this at plus money.
Yeah, what's interesting about this one too, we talked so much about how, whether it be the Bills or the Chiefs, they really didn't put teams away very well throughout the season. Even when they were winning games, didn't put people away. That would certainly leave the door open to this as well. Pat, what do you think about this one? This is an interesting one where you're kind of writing the narrative of the ending of this game. The QB kneel at plus 155. I want to get your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, this was on my short list too when I was compiling possibilities. This was, when I was winnowing it down, it didn't make the top 3, but, I'd sketched out about 8, 9, 10 bets that I liked, and this was among them. I could very easily see this one ending on a field goal. Maybe someone kicks a field goal with a couple seconds late and you get some sort of crazy multiple lateral kickoff in the final seconds. I think DBro is spot on and getting this, the price is right for this bet, I think.
Yeah, some really good ones, some outside the box, little cross pollination with different sports. We did it all here today, and also gave you a path for the game itself, which is, in my opinion, wait. Let the game get going. and then see where it's going and then go the other way. And that's how you're going to make money on the game itself. But lots of ways to make money. Pat Fitzmaurice tomorrow is going to have more ways on his favorite prop bets. That's going to be must-see television and must-listen podcast as well. Make sure you subscribe to Betting Pros wherever you get your pods. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we love to hear from you. Drop a comment. What are your favorite bets? Let's all do this together. That's the point. So if you see something out there that's good, drop it in the comments there. What do you have your investments in? And don't forget, Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you subscribe to Betting Pros YouTube channel and click that little bell till it goes ding so you don't miss the notification, because we're going live. Matt Peralt, Matthew Friedman, Matthew Pisapia, all of us. Maybe not Matthew Pisapia, just Joe Pisapia. I'll be there. But it's going to be a great time talking Super Bowl, talking wagering, talking the game, taking your questions. It's going to be awesome. We want you to be a part of it. So join us 1 p.m. Eastern this Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. That's plenty of time to still go out there, have some fun with the kiddos. You know, go out there, get all the snacks you need. Plenty of time. Take care of your wagering first and foremost, and do it at BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Pat and DBro, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.